Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and we are just over 1 week from the 2025 NFL Draft. The San Francisco 49ers have 11 overall picks, and they pick at number 11 overall in this year's first round. Again, 1 week away from the 2025 NFL Draft. Who will be the pick at number 11? I can't wait to find out next Thursday. Will San Francisco trade back? Will they keep the pick? We will find out next week. But today we are tabbing this as version 3 of our mock draft series we have going on. And I'm going to call this the quote-unquote perfect 49ers 7-round mock draft. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave that review. And without further ado, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock at pick number 1 in the 2025 NFL Draft. All right, as you can see behind me, we have the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator. The Titans are on the clock at number 1. And as we enter into this mock draft, I want to say that in previous mock drafts, we've done trade backs, we've done trade ups. It doesn't feel like that's a likely scenario for the San Francisco 49ers this year. All the reporting coming out is that most teams are trying to trade back and nobody's willing to trade up for certain prospects. Now, obviously, things can change once the actual draft comes on Thursday night of next week. That said, I'm going to try to play this somewhat realistically here. Again, I do want to make almost all 11 picks for the 49ers, but at pick number 11, it feels like the Niners are kind of stuck in between. They aren't inside the top 10 to maybe have a team trade back for one of the blue chip prospects, whereas they're kind of not in the top 15-ish range. About 13 to 17 is kind of the sweet spot for trades where you have teams in the 20 that want to go up and get a player they like. At 11, you're like, well, we're kind of in a rock and a hard place here because they want to move back, at least they should, but nobody's buying that pick number 11. But let's kick things off with the PFF mock draft, and let's start things off with the Titans. They go Abdul Carter. That's not going to happen on next week's draft. They go Abdul Carter. Browns go Travis Hunter. The Giants go Cam Ward. Patriots go Will Campbell. Jaguars go Mason Graham. Raiders go Ashton Genty. The Jets go Ted McMillan. The Panthers go Armin Membu. The Saints go Mike Green. And the Bears go Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas. Now, I want to say this, that I'm coming around more and more to the idea of Mike Green's red flags maybe not being that big of a deal as previously thought. Obviously, when you get accused of assault in some way, those are serious allegations. Got to take those things seriously. However, the Niners have done now 2 meetings on him, and I would not be shocked that they walk away from their 2 meetings feeling more comfortable. And if they do walk away feeling more comfortable, and he's on the board at pick number 11, I would rather have Mike Green over Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon because I view this year's edge rushing class very similar to the cornerback class. The edge rushing class has one blue chipper in Abdul Carter. They, to me, have one kind of B tier, if you will, a number 2, kind of the 1A, 1B, that being Mike Green. Then a bunch of guys under them, James Pierce Jr., Mykel Williams, maybe Jalen Walker, and others that are good players, project to be good at the NFL level. However, they don't have inklings of a blue chip prospect or have the production that Mike Green does. And I think that there is definitely levels to the edge rushing class, similar to cornerback, where it's kind of like Will Johnson. It's Travis Hunter at the very top, Will Johnson below him, and Jahdae Barron's there, where you like those guys, but Johnson has the injury stuff. Can Jahdae Barron really be an outside corner at the NFL level? I'm not too sure about that. So very similar cornerback and edge rushing classes this year, but San Francisco on the clock, pick number 11. Walter Nolan is climbing up draft boards. Funny enough, he was falling down draft boards earlier this offseason. Now, there's reports he's a lock to go in the first round. Not shocked about that really at all. He's a great player, explosive player, has traits that most other defensive linemen don't have in this class. As you can see, Tyler Warren's there, Malachi Starks is there, Jod Campbell's there, Will Johnson's also there. If you want to go the offensive line route, Kelvin Banks, Josh Simmons is also there. But I think for the sake of this mock draft, there's very few blue chippers or near blue chip prospects available, guys that you have traits and say, that guy can one day be elite. Among those currently on the board now, it's Tyler Warren, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, and maybe Josh Simmons, and that's kind of it in the groupings that you like, but you're not going to take cornerback. You don't really need to take Tyler Warren. And I think by the way the board falls here, people don't like this, and I think a lot of it is because it is kind of prospect fatigue, but I know there is some quote-unquote concerns with Walter Nolan as a run defender. The great thing is you have 11 draft picks this year. You can get more run defending, beefier defensive tackles, and I think Walter Nolan is one of the more traitsiest players in this year's class. There is some concerns of multiple high schools, multiple colleges, what's that about? But San Francisco clearly likes him a lot. I think they've interviewed him at least once. He had a Niner backpack on at the NFL Combine. He can play inside primarily, but also if you need him to, he can play on the outside due to his size, 6'3", 300 pounds, only 21 years old. I think people forget that none of these prospects are finished. None of these prospects, although yes, they're grown men, they're 21 years old. Some of the mistakes you make when you're 21, I'm almost 28 years old now. I would not do the exact same things I did 7 years later. Great pass rushing defensive tackle. He has the moves, he has the bend, he has the twitchiness you like. This brings traits to the table that other guys in that interior defensive line class don't. But the concerns people have are the run blocking or the run defending. And while yes, beefier interior offensive linemen can push him out of the way, if he gets his body right, some of the issues you have is that maybe the anchor is not great, can't shed blocks in a run defense that well just yet. But again, 21 years old, give him Chris Kosaric. A lot of the issues he's had, I think, are coachable. I think an underrated pro comp to him is Jonathan Allen. That sounds crazy. I get it. Jonathan Allen, one of the best defensive tackles in football the last decade or so. But you can argue he has the highest upside of any defensive tackle in this year's class. So, at number 11 overall, we're going kind of a guaranteed pick here. If he's there, you should take him, barring Mike Green. Those are kind of the only two guys I'm talking about here at 11 now. As things approach next week's Combine, it makes too much sense. Get the number 2 edge rusher, get the number 2 defensive tackle in this year's class. Either one of those guys I think should be great for you. And I think Walter Nolan to me is just, it's a need. The traits are there to be a great player. And I think overall he will be an instant impact player for you on day one. So Walter Nolan is the pick at number 11. And as we progress to pick 43, we can kind of see some of the bigger names off the board after we picked at 11. Tyler Warren goes to the Dolphins. Didn't see that coming. Kenneth Grant goes to the Bengals. Shamar Stewart goes to the Broncos. Shadur Sanders goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Amarian Hampton goes to the Texans. That's a weird pick, but I digress. Colston Loveland goes to the Buffalo Bills. James Pierce Jr., the other edge rusher out of Tennessee, goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. No really other big names outside of Derek Harmon, defensive tackle from Oregon. He goes to the Bears. And then we have Darius Alexander going to the Jets at pick 42 right in front of us, which brings us to pick 43. Now, if you're like myself, you're saying just feed the defense over and over and over again. You can go Omar Norman-Lott. You can go Tyleik Williams. You can go TJ Sanders. You can go CJ West. All those guys I do think would be good players. Now, different players. That being said, Omar Norman-Lott and TJ Sanders, much more pass rushing defensive tackles. And if you have concerns about Walter Nolan's run defense, then go get Tyleik Williams. Go get CJ West. Go get an Alfred Collins out of Texas. But you already got your interior guy, at least one of those. You're probably going to have to get 2 or 3 of them here. If you go to the edge rushing group, there's Landon Jackson. There's Braden Swinson. You can go Princely and Malin from Ole Miss. You can go JT Tuimoloau or even Femi Oladejo from UCLA. I think if you're San Francisco, they have, funny enough, had a lot of conversations with Omar Norman-Lott out of Tennessee, and I'll give you a breakdown on him here in 1 second. I think he is, at this point in time, a lock to go on day 2, early day 2. You can see here on PFF, they have him as their 27th ranked defensive, or overall player, in this year's class. Massive clubbing hands, 11 1/8 inch hands. He had 16 sacks and 19.4 pass rush win rate last year. A lot of the Tennessee defensive linemen kind of get knocked for not having the production, and a lot of that makes sense. However, with those guys, they rotate a lot of their picks, or rotate a lot of their defensive linemen. So James Pierce Jr., Omar Norman-Lott, a lot of the guys don't really get to see, even others down the draft board you'll see in this class that'll go where their production isn't there. But there's questions specifically about Omar Norman-Lott of, can you stack and shed in the running game? Can you play against the run extremely well? Because he only has 166 run defense snaps the last 2 years. So is it you can't do it, so Tennessee didn't let you do it? Or is it when they have beefier defensive tackles where they said, hey, you're a smaller guy, you're only 6'3", 315 pounds. We got a 6'5" guy who's 340. He'll go in there on first and second down, whereas Omar Norman-Lott would clean things up on third down, has really heavy hands. They're clubbing hands. If you want to go on the interior, San Francisco, I think, has a top 30 visit with him already lined up, or if it hasn't happened yet, it'll happen soon. They like him a ton. I think he's a player that he's twitchy. He's a very strong upper body. You'd want to see an improved anchor, but against the pass, unlike the run, you didn't see it much. He can stack and shed. He can get to the quarterback, and I think can be one of the more traitsier defensive tackles along with Graham and Nolan, mainly as a pass rushing defensive tackle. If you want some beef, although it may be a little too rich here for a player like CJ West, you want to talk about somebody built like a brick crap house. That's a player like CJ West. He is beefy. He is dense. He is borderline unmovable. He's a bona fide nose tackle. Some of these guys aren't. 6'2", 317 pounds. He's a bowling ball as a defensive tackle. Now, maybe too rich here. On PFF, he goes around pick 74. San Francisco has pick 75, so you never know. But I think for many teams out there, seeing offenses kind of shift back to a heavier running game scheme, San Francisco, Philadelphia, the Rams and others, the Commanders, all those teams, a lot of the great teams, the Bills, they want to run the football. You have to be able to stop these top-tier running backs and these mobile quarterbacks, so you're going to see players like CJ West probably more valued than someone like TJ Sanders, and maybe even at a point in time, Omar Norman-Lott, depending on the team and what they already have on the roster. If you want to dive into the edge rushing group, which I wouldn't blame you for doing so here at pick 43, you can go Landon Jackson, took him, I think, in last week's draft. You can go Braden Swinson, Princely, Uman Malin from Ole Miss, get Walter Nolan's teammate. You can go JT Tuimoloau at Ohio State. But if you're me right here and I'm sitting back, like, how do we make the perfect defense for the San Francisco 49ers in 2025, I think you really got to beef up your interior defensive line. You already got Omar Norman-Lott, you already got your pass rushing, traitsy, semi-good run defending defensive tackle in Walter Nolan. Go get your brick crap houses, CJ West. Even Tyreek Williams also makes some sense here. 6'3", 325 pounds, senior out of Ohio State. Last year, an 88.6 run defense grade for the Buckeyes, a 60.5 pass rushing grade. He had 3 sacks, a 6.9 pass rush win rate. Again, not going to blow you away, but he had 20 run stops. He's not going to be a pass rushing interior guy for you whatsoever. That's why you got Walter Nolan. But he can stonewall in the 2 gap. He's a run game alternator, meaning you get him in there, he will change how opposing offenses can scheme against you. He's that good against the run. He's a strong base. He can dictate where the interior offensive line goes. You really can't move him. Again, very similar to CJ West out of Indiana.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
There have been some weight fluctuations for Tyreek Williams, so that may raise some concerns for some teams. But in 2024, he looked like an NFL player. And if you're San Francisco, you're sitting back like, well, what do we do? Darius Alexander's gone. Derek Harmon's gone. I don't think if San Francisco gets Walter Nolan, they're removing Omar Norman-Lott from their board entirely or saying, no, we're not going to take him. However, you got to find the just beefy, dense dudes on your interior to stop teams like the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks twice a year. You also have to play the Commanders in the playoffs. You may have to play a team like the Kansas City Chiefs again or the Bills or whatever. So you have to find your run stuffers. If it's me, I'd probably wait to go CJ West, but knowing how the board goes, we're going to go ahead and take, do we go Tyreek? Do we go CJ West? Let's overdraft a player. Actually, yeah, let's overdraft a player like CJ West. Get you that cannonball, bowling ball disruptor on the defensive line. Again, going to be an overdraft, but I like him more than a player like Tyreek Williams from Ohio State. As you can see, we have progressed all the way to pick 75, just 2 more inside the top 100, and perfect. The board fell exactly how I wanted it to. We are going to get what is seemingly, I don't want to say one of the locks of this year's draft, but the San Francisco 49ers are in love with Femi Oladejo from UCLA. You can tell the way they talk about him. Met with him a handful of times already. Saw him at the Senior Bowl. 6'3", 260-pound senior. Not going to give you much from the PFF grades. A 65.8 pass rushing grade and a 78.8 run defense grade. Had a 10.7% pass rush win rate. That's not going to blow you away again, but it's how he wins and when he wins where you say, whoa, that's an NFL-style edge rusher right there. He had 34 pressures and 7 sacks. This past year was his first year as an edge rusher at the collegiate level. He was a former off-ball linebacker, so if you want to, at certain times, he can drop back in coverage and give you some versatility there, where in a similar way, he's like Jalen Walker light, where Walker has the power, the explosiveness, but also has the off-ball linebacker skills, although not as quick and fast to play that position at a full-time rate. I think Femi is kind of the more inconsistent version of Jalen Walker in this year's draft. And if you know Connor Rogers from the NFL Stock Exchange podcast or the NBC Sports draft they do out there, he said Jalen Walker makes sense to San Francisco at 11. And I'm sitting back saying, you can get a light version of that player in round 3 on day 2. There are times you can go cold as a pass rusher, but I think a lot of that can be chalked up to it's his first year playing the position, and if you can get him more active, get his body right with Chris Kocurek next to Nick Bosa, Walter Nolan, CJ West, with Fred Warner, you're going to have a more active and consistent player on your defensive line. It may take him a couple years to kind of progress into an amazing player, but that's why you have to find some depth, which again is shocking as to why San Francisco cut players like Leonard Floyd. However, They love this player. They love him so much. I am going to pick him anyways here, and I'll kind of explain why in a second, because he has fast and active hands. He's a ball of energy. Get him in your locker room. He is there is no days off. There is no bad days as an NFL player. He plays violent. He has that power you like. When he tackles players, one of the big issues with a lot of these short-armed, off-ball linebacker converts, these guys don't know how to tackle. That's not a problem with Femi Oladejo from UCLA. The off-ball linebacker length comes into play here as an edge rusher where he shores up tackles, he'll wrap guys up, he'll throw them to the ground. He has a linebacker's mentality as a tackler, but he has the edge rushing mentality as a pass rusher. So there's so much to like from him. Now, I do think there is some times he'll be overzealous, run himself out of plays where you're like, okay, is that the inexperience? I think you can probably say it usually is. But I think there's a lot to like from him. Now, there is some credence to the idea that a lot of people are overhyping him currently, where he's kind of the Senior Bowl, kind of riser, where you like a lot of what he can do, but you have to be realistic in what he can actually do in year one. I don't think he'll walk into OTAs and training camp and be the number one guy opposite Nick Bosa, but I think in a rotation in year one, with Samo, with some more guys you're going to pick here, I think there is, a really good player in Femi Oladejo from UCLA as an edge rusher at pick 75 this year, which brings us to pick 100. That is in round 3. It's a compensation pick. But first, Jeff says, what's up, man, in the YouTube chat? What's up, Jeff? He said, I would have gone Mike Green over Nolan, but he loves that pick. I'll tell you this, Jeff. I would have also gone Mike Green over Walter Nolan had both of them been there. But a lot of that depends on what the red flags are and how San Francisco views those for Nolan, or for Green. But both picks would be great either way for San Francisco. Niner Josh Seeker of Truth and Wisdom says, hey, Sterling, first-time watcher, appreciate the coverage on my Niners. Thank you so much, Josh. Happy you're here. And drop your comments down below. And hopefully I can answer some questions for you as we go into this mock draft and round out this year's draft class for you in 2025. And Spy Nick Danger says, go 49ers. Okay, let's hop back into pick 100 for your San Francisco 49ers. Here's our picks so far. Pick 11 in round 1 was Walter Nolan. Pick 43 in round 2 was probably an overdraft, but I think an overall pretty good pick for San Francisco. CJ West out of Indiana. And pick 3, Olufemi Oladejo from UCLA. 3 defensive linemen. That kind of keeps with what we've done thus far in our first 2 mock drafts this year. But at pick 100, the conversation now becomes complicated because Harold Fannin Jr. is here. San Francisco likes him a ton. Do you want to get Jeffrey Bassa, linebacker out of Oregon? San Francisco seemingly likes him a ton as well. Do you say, you know what, this Kyle Shanahan, who, funny enough, right here, 2 great picks back-to-back, I think would fit well in San Francisco, Charles Grant and DJ Giddens. And I'm going to put my money on the table right now. If there is, one running back that Kyle Shanahan will trade up for in this year's class, I'm not saying he's going to trade up, but if there is one he would trade up for, it is DJ Giddens out of Kansas State, not Jadon Blue from Texas. The fumbles are terrifying. I think DJ Giddens is Kyle Shanahan's, you're my bread and butter running back in this year's class. Last year, we called out Isaiah Guerendo early in last year's class, and we saw it happen there. Shanahan was like, gotta have him, traded up for him in round 4. But DJ Giddens, I think, has Kyle Shanahan written all over him. 6'1", 210 pounds, 1,300-plus yards, 862 after contact, 54 forced missed tackles, 7 touchdowns, 37 explosive runs of 10-plus yards this past year. He has good lawn speed. He has the one-cut running back ability. He's got some wiggle to him. You like the frame to hold up in pass protection. Again, 210 pounds at 6'1". He's got great vision. Whether it's, zone scheme or just letting him run in the tackles, he can get it done for you. He's a patient runner. He's someone that you can kind of lose track of. He's that shifty. And I think overall, the play strength isn't great, and there is some concerns of his receiver ability, but Grendo was drafted knowing he can be a really great receiver and was a receiver at one point in time in his collegiate career. Giddens, I think, can kind of offset him and be your Jordan Mason replacement, and hopefully if he has to take over for Christian McCaffrey, I think he can do that for you. So we're not going to take him here off the board, but look out for DJ Giddens from Kansas State to be this year's draft crush for Kyle Shanahan as a running back in this year's class. Okay, Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon's a linebacker. Do you want to stay on defense here? Do you want to get your tight end? In last week's draft, we took Gunnar Helm. 2 drafts ago, we took Harold Fannin Jr. I think there's a pretty big drop-off in between both those guys, and then Benjamin Yasarick and Mitchell Evans and, Caden Prescorn and Jake Brenningstool. So if you want kind of your bona fide number 2 tight end in this year's class, you have to get him right now. If you don't mind having it be George Kittle and Luke Farrell, then you can kind of shift your focus towards more players like Devin Neal and Jalen Blue, Trevor Etienne. Although I don't like any of those players for the 49ers. You can go receiver here. You can go Isaac Tesla, Savion Williams, Kyle Williams. And right now, there is a ton of talk about Kyle Williams from Washington State. You can see PFF has him as their 65th ranked player, with the average draft position being at 114.4. Do the San Francisco 49ers truly need a receiver in this year's draft class? You can argue no. You have Juwan Jennings, you have Demarcus Robinson, who I know there's talks of a suspension, but he already got in trouble for the DUI, didn't get suspended for it. If it gets popped this year, it's like for 1 game or so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. You have Pearsall, you have Cowing. I think you can find a receiver later in this year's draft class. I wouldn't be shocked to see some receivers fall, like Matthew Golden. He's not going inside the top 10. Ted McMillan could fall out of the top 10 entirely. We will see what happens on draft night. But Kyle Williams, 5'11", 190 pounds, a fifth-year senior. He has 4.4 speed, a 17 yards per catch. He has home run hitting ability with his speed. He'll stretch the field. He had 26 catches last year for 15-plus yards. He'll put press corners in a blender, or they're like, "What? Like, where'd he go?" That's how awesome he is as a receiver. He's got quick feet off the line of scrimmage. He has really good ball skills, despite having short arms and smaller hands, which may deter some, but overall, really good player out of Washington State. He has great body control on the boundary, so go up and get it, reach out, tip your toes in. He can do that for you as a wide receiver. Doesn't really have the full route tree at his disposal, so you want some more nuance there. But overall, a lot of what he does is he tries to just beat you with speed. And if you want a pro comp for him, he is very similar to Jaden Reed from the Packers. And right there and then, when you say, put Jaden Reed from the Packers on the San Francisco 49ers, really hard to say no to that here at pick 100. He can't really, he's not just a gadget player, but on the end arounds, the sweeps, the screens, he can do those things for you. But also he can be more of a receiver out wide, where I think at times, take Jacob Cowing, for example. You'd wish that role would go to Cowing, right? 4th round pick, he has speed, a smaller guy, be our gadget player, right? Whereas Kyle Williams kind of already has that stuff down, where no one really was ever projecting Cowing to be that guy, where there really is no promise Cowing actually makes the team next year, which stinks. But I think there is I don't want to say some rumors or leaning towards, but I could very easily see Kyle Williams being a Viking, a Packer, again, mainly though a Ram and a Niner, and even a Brown. Like the Rams, Niners, and Browns could all use a player like Kyle Williams from Washington State. But what do you want here at pick 100? Do you want a receiver? I don't really think you need one at pick 100. You can go get, Pat O'Brien. You can go get players like Deontay Thornton or Andrew Armstrong or Torrey Horton from Colorado State. I don't think you really need one here. If you want a bigger body guy, you can go Savion Williams, but you're at pick 100. The cornerbacks you like are off the board. Jacob Parrish has gone to the Giants. You maybe could reach for Kobe Bryant here from Kansas, or you can sit back, play things smart, and go Harold Fannin, who I have compared in previous drafts to Deebo Samuel light, just as a tight end. That's kind of a long way around to say San Francisco likes him a ton. Wouldn't be surprised there. Or you can have the conversation, and this is where things get so tough because linebacker is a big need for this team. I am someone that believes in D. Winters a lot, but a lot of people are sitting here saying Jeffrey Bassa's the guy. That's the guy. Last year, he had 47 tackles, 18 defensive stops, 11 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble. He's a 4-year starter, 42 career starts at Oregon. He's a green dot Mike linebacker type guy that can come in and play next to you, next to Fred Warner and next to D. Winters. He's really great. He's really great in coverage. He can cover and kind of clog those passing lanes for you in the middle of the football field. He diagnoses plays really well. He can read the quarterback's eyes. He'll jump routes. He has good recognition as a coverage linebacker. Good tackler, only a 19.6 missed tackle rate last year at Oregon, so there's a lot to like. He has top-notch closing speed. He can go sideline to sideline. He can be a blitzer for you. Probably one of the more overall, kind of covers everything for your linebackers in this year's class. So for me, it's between Fannin Jr. and Bassa. What's a bigger need, tight end 2 or Bassa? I'm going to go Bassa here. Let's change things up, get you a linebacker next to Fred Warner, and see how the board falls for you at the next pick. See, Kyle Williams is still there. I don't think he'll be there at this point in time. David Walker from Central Arkansas has gone. Harold Fannin Jr. has gone, and Kobe Bryant have all gone for you. So I think we did a pretty good job getting our linebacker here at pick 100. And let's go to pick 113.
Hi, this is Javon, your Blinds.com design consultant.
Oh, wow. A real person.
Yep. I'm here to help with everything from selecting the perfect window treatments to...
Well, I've got a complicated project.
No problem. I can even help schedule a professional measure and install. We can also send you samples fast and free.
I just might have to do more.
Whatever you need.
So the first room we're looking at is for...
Shop Blinds.com now and save up to 40% site-wide. Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Gunnar Helm is still there. Kyle Williams is still there. For the sake of conversation, you didn't get Harold Fannin Jr. Go get Kyle Williams here at pick 113. Get your offense back in order and hopefully get you more explosive players for you on your offense as well. I do want to pause here for 1 second because I want to let you know, if you want to watch the NBA playoffs in person, MLB is in full swing. The Giants just won their first series ever against the New York Yankees in Yankee Stadium. Isn't that crazy? And if you want to go to concerts this spring and this summer, go to SeatGeek.com and put in promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERS, ACCESS at SeatGeek.com. And you can save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And who doesn't love a discount? I love it. In fact, the Giants and Dodgers are playing in LA, and it's my wife's birthday. I'm telling, hey, babe, let's use our own promo code and let's save $20 off and let's go get some tickets. So even I'm using the code, and I'm hoping you do as well, and help yourself out and also help the show out. In the meantime, Papa J says here, what's up, brother? Happy to have you back in the show. Been a while since I've seen you on here, but I'm happy you're here. First live show in about 2 weeks, so we're happy to have you back in the comments section. as we go to pick 138 for the San Francisco 49ers to round out round number 4. Our picks so far are Walter Nolan, CJ West, Femi Oladejo, Jeffrey Bassa, and Kyle Williams. You got your receiver, 3 defensive linemen. You got your linebacker next year. Like that a ton. You can maybe start talking about the offensive line here. I don't love this year's interior class a lot. Maybe you want to talk about Miles Frazier and Jackson Slater. This is probably about where they would go. Miles Frazier's probably gone by now, but late round 3, early round 4, I can see that happening. Both those guys fit San Francisco's scheme extremely well. I think San Francisco has met with Miles Frazier once this offseason already. You can look at tackles, Chase Lunt, Emory Jones Jr. Both those guys can make some sense for you as some kind of backup tackle. San Francisco needs a backup tackle. Jalen Moore is gone. Maybe it's Burford, maybe it's not. Who knows? McKivitz is probably gone after this year, and you can probably look towards Trent Williams maybe retiring after this year as well. So there is some concern as to maybe you want to insulate yourself and insulate your room, but time will tell with how this year progresses as to where those players feel their future holds. We have 3 more picks inside the 160s, so we can have some fun here. Maybe we can make a trade up. We'll see how the board falls, but I want to focus on one player here on the defensive line. We've gotten, 1 edge rusher. We've gotten 2 defensive tackles, but I do want to kind of focus in on Cameron Jackson from Florida. Funny enough, he's 6'6", 342 pounds. So you want that space eater, you want that guy that just takes up 2 offensive linemen. He's a guy for you. He has 34-inch arms. He can use them in run defense, pulling down running backs and quarterbacks and receivers. He's a big run stuffer, not going to be this pass rushing guy for you on the interior. He's got quick feet. He can be a nose tackle. He's someone that he can eat up space with his strength. He's a player that can consistently play on the first and second down for you, where, say, earlier in the draft, you wanted to go Omar Norman Lott. I can see Cameron Jackson being a later day 3 interior guy. You say, be a run stuffer for us with Walter Nolan and Omar Norman Lott. Like, in a perfect world, if they get Mike Green, Omar Norman Lott, and Cameron Jackson, that's a heck of a haul for you on your defensive line. When you have bigger body guys like Cameron Jackson, a big name being tossed out there is Deon Walker from, I think it's Kentucky. He's a massive dude that really, he doesn't have leverage. He had a broken back last year, which I'm sure hurt him a lot, but he doesn't have leverage, doesn't really know how to play the position just yet, where like some games you're like, oh my God, he's a future All-Pro. Others you're like, I'm lost. How are we talking about you on day 2? Cameron Jackson doesn't really have that big of a fluctuation, right? There is no roller coaster with him of like one day you're getting this, one day you're getting an opposite thing. It's more of a consistent run-stuffing presence on your interior. And I think, at pick 138, Cameron Jackson from Florida makes a ton of sense for San Francisco. Again, you can go tackle, you can maybe go safety here, but overall, I think I would go Cameron Jackson, beef up your interior defensive line, get yourself 3 interior guys. You got to have more of them. You can never have enough. I'm going Cameron Jackson here, pick 138, rounding out round number 4 for you, which brings us to pick number 147. And you see, Deon Walker has fallen to pick 145, or in some drafts, he's going in round 3. He's going in round 2. And it's like, I don't get it. Thankfully, PFF has changed their boards here to represent his draft status. I don't think it's as high as people think it should be. And I'm happy they're changing here because, my goodness, I was tired of seeing him as high as he was on boards because it didn't make any sense to me. And that brings us to pick 147. Jaw Joyner's still there at pick 185. You can probably wait to get him. Like Jaw Joyner a ton. You can maybe talk about a safety here. I think it's a good spot too. We've gone defense almost every single pick but one, but San Francisco's bigger holes are on defense, so I would expect a very defensive heavy draft. this year, which makes sense with how they brought in their guys and cut a lot of their people. That said, there's 3 primary ones I think can be in the conversation here. That is R.J. Mickens, Craig Woodson, and Malachi Moore from Alabama. We took R.J. Mickens in our first mock draft. I think that a lot of people don't really know who he is, which doesn't shock me whatsoever. But he's a Clemson guy. His father, I think, let me see if I can have it in my notes here. Let's see. I think his father played in the NFL. I believe so. Maybe I'm wrong there, but 6 foot, 200 pounds, 30 starts, 60 career games over his career. I think he has like the most career games at Clemson or most career starts for a player at Clemson. An 89.8 coverage grade, 62.2 run defense grade, 7 forced incompletions, a 24.1% forced incompletion rate, 9 coverage stops. Not the most fluid or athletic safety, but he can play in the box. He's more of that strong safety. You're not going to want him to play single high coverage for you. He'll take on slot receivers. He'll take on tight ends and running backs and stuff. But you don't want him against, these fast, quick X receivers. You don't want him against, Cooper Kupp and, Puka Nacua. You want him against your bigger slot receivers, your Jawan Jennings of the world, if you will. He likes to tackle. He wants to tackle. He has a mentality where I can see San Francisco saying, we have a type at safety. Mickens fills the role of that type. Mustafa, Jair Brown, Tauna Ufunga, where not the greatest in coverage, but they pack a punch. They can get takeaways and turnovers for you. I think it changed some stuff on your defense. However, Craig Woodson from California here, if you go to his PFF bio, you can go here. Run defense grade, 85.8. Coverage grade, 88.6. An 8.6 missed tackle rate. His best season thus far. He started 12-plus games the last 3 years for you. You can go to his first look. He's 6 foot, 210 pounds. He's really a good player overall. The trends even have him being taken by the Niners. I think he was at their pro day, the local pro day, a couple weeks ago, so maybe there's some connection there. We took Malachi Moore in last week's draft. I am in love with him as a late round pick. I think that in round 5, maybe late round 4, I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting how good Malachi Moore was at Bama. And you want that kind of roaming, more of a free safety that has ball skills. Malachi Moore can be that for you compared to a player like Jair Brown. So overall, I like that. Doesn't have your big play strength. He's not going to be your bigger box safety guy. But you want that roamer. You want the more, not athletic, but you want the guy that can go take the ball away. He had 2 interceptions last year, 3 forced fumbles, 1 sack, 7 pass deflections, and 20 run stops. I am like all over the Malachi Moore train as a late day 3 or an early day 3 pick for San Francisco, but really hard to go wrong from Craig Woodson or Malachi Moore here at the safety position. If you don't value safety, maybe you want to go offensive line here. Chase Lunt just went right before us. It can make some sense to go for a player like a Cornelius or Emory Jones or whatnot. But overall, I think you go defense, keep feeding your defense. Really, nobody else kind of stands out from a offensive standpoint. There is one player maybe here you can get. That is Quincy Riley, cornerback from Louisville. I think San Francisco just had a top 30 visit with him, or at least it was announced they were going to have one with him this week or so. And I think it's a confusing player for San Francisco to visit with. 5'11", 195 pounds, a 67.9 zone coverage grade from PFF, a 52.7 man coverage grade. Those are not great, albeit PFF isn't the end-all be-all. He had 12 forced incompletions, 3 interceptions last year, but a 40.2 run defense grade. That, to me, is concerning. But last year, a lot of that can be chalked up to an ankle injury that he had, because 2023, if you go watch the tape, entirely different player especially in man coverage. He was awesome. He's twitchy, former track runner. He can get downfield. He can stop the receivers that have long speed. The thing is, though, his body, the way it's built, only 195 pounds. He's not a dense 195. He plays lighter. He has the athletic traits you like, again, the speed, the shiftiness, the hip flexibility, but he'll get out-bodied a ton for a player that's 5'11", near 200 pounds. He'll probably be a slot receiver at the NFL level, so that will probably kind of line him up to be on the interior with Lenore and Green. However, you have Trey Brown, you have Darrell Luter Jr. Maybe there is time for a player like Riley to grow if you like his speed and traits. But then you look at his run defense grade, it's like, well, if you're small enough and you don't have the strength to be kind of a tough physical slot corner, okay, that's your only real projection at the NFL level, and you also don't have the run defense. So it's like, what really is Quincy Riley? Again, a more confusing player to like for San Francisco, but one I wanted to mention because they talked to him, they interviewed him, and I think it could be a player out there at pick 147, but I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to overdraft, quote-unquote overdraft, Malachi Moore here, a safety out of Alabama, and we're going to go to pick 160. Quincy Riley goes to pick 157. I like what we have brewing here. I think, yeah, it may have been overdraft, but I do want to go get another edge rusher. Jaw Joyner, picked him last week, doing it again. 185 is his rank, picking him at 160. Love Jaw Joyner, gave you 2 edge rushers. You got 3 interior guys, and we're going to go all the way down to pick 227. And as we await for that to happen, I want to let you know, if you click our link down below, you can get yourself a can of goat fuel and you can save yourself 10% off your purchase. Look, I don't like Monsters or Rock Stars. Funny enough, these Starbucks energy drinks gave me a medical condition. So I had to stop drinking them all entirely, but Goat Fuel contacted me and said, hey, we want to give you a free case. Give us a rating. Tell us what you like, and I'll tell you what, I have fallen in love with the product, and I know you will too. So get your link or get yourself a case down below by using our link and save yourself 10% off your purchase and get yourself that Goat Fuel and perform like the GOAT Jerry Rice himself.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision-crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision-crafted performance.
Take your vibes on go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Okay, perfect here. We are going to take Za Frazier, one of the most underrated players in this year's draft, 6'3", 185 pounds, 24 years old. He's sticky in man coverage. He's a primary press man cornerback out of UTSA. He's physical at the line of scrimmage. He has downfield speed. He has long speed to keep up with your faster receivers at the NFL level. And you put him in a cover 3, cover 4 defense, hence what San Francisco runs. I think he can flourish. I think it's a great pick. I don't think he'll be here at pick 227. However, I would take him over Quincy Riley any day of the week and twice on Friday. So we're going Za Frazier here, and we're fast forwarding to pick 249. And let's see who's on the board. Notably, we didn't draft the running back here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 defensive players taken with this year's mock draft. We're hoping to make the perfect mock draft for the San Francisco 49ers. I think we're doing a pretty good one thus far. Again, these things aren't always accurate. One thing everybody needs to know, which it'll change next year, PFF's mock draft simulator is one person's rankings. Now, it's what they hear, it's what they know, it's what they draft. But again, it is one person's rankings overall. So you're going to see massive shifts. You're going to see their favoritism, but it's a one-person show over there at PFF, that being Trevor Sikkema. Does a great job, not shading him at all, but just letting you know, it is a one-man show out there for PFF and what they do on their draft boards. I want to see who's here on the interior offensive line. Nobody I love. Maybe you can go Clay Webb. Wouldn't hate that. Let's see who's here from on the tackle market. No one great either. Let's see what we have on the tight end market. Nope, nobody great either. Okay, so it looks like right now, if you want to go running back, maybe you can talk me into a player like Montrell Johnson, but again, just nobody really stands out for us here at pick 249. Maybe you can go Elijah Badger, go receiver again. I do like Elijah Badger out of Florida. You can go linebacker again. We've taken Jalen Walker in previous drafts. We've taken Mac McWilliams, a shorter-armed cornerback. Who said this in the YouTube chat? Take Desmond Watson in this 7th-round pick to seal off the defensive line. He's 6'7", 464 pounds. Is this like the biggest guy they've had ever come out of the draft? I think it is. Yeah, 6'5", 450 pounds. That sounds great. Can he actually move is my question. A Niner fan here says pick Desmond Watson. It'd be fun to have that. Like, you just tell him, be a nose tackle and just start grabbing dudes on the interior. He would swallow Jake Brendel for breakfast. But can he move is the question. I don't think he can. It's awesome to see that. I don't think San Francisco would take him overall. Maybe you go Nicholas Martin here from Oklahoma State. I wouldn't mind that. You can go Brew McCoy. I'm not really sure why Brew McCoy is still on the board. I don't think he's like a great player, but as a receiver, I think Brew McCoy, funny enough, if I could find my receiver rankings here, he's someone that was really high on draft boards early in this kind of draft season and has somehow fallen off almost everywhere. And it's funny because when you go to Brew McCoy's status and stuff, like he was talked about inside top 15s of receiver rankings, and now he's like nowhere to be found. Now, he's had 4 ankle surgeries in 2023. Maybe it knocks him down, but he's one of the best run blocking receivers in this year's class. Overall, I think, draft and stash for a year. Maybe you go Elijah Badger from Florida. I'd pick 249, 6'1", 200 pounds, long arms, big, sure hands, a 4.4 speed. If you don't get a player like Kyle Williams, you want a bigger version, a lighter version, if you will, of that, I can see Elijah Badger being a player for you. He's got hands. After the catch, he's good. Not great against press coverage. Not the greatest route runner, which I think will kind of tank his draft stock. He's got long speed, though, and is a really competitive player out of Florida. Who can we go with here? Running backs aren't great. We can maybe go defense again. Let's see. Nobody really, we're at pick 249. You're kind of like, how do you round out the roster? We're going to go Jalen Walker again, linebacker out of Indiana. Good coverage skills, good run defense player. You have Bethune, you have Winters, you have Fred Warner, you drafted Bassa. Go get somebody else in there. But I will tell you this is shocking. And I don't think he'll be there. And I want to keep it somewhat realistic. But if he's there, you have to take him. Andrew Armstrong, wide receiver from Arkansas, 6'4", 202 pounds, 51 receiving first downs. He just is incredible. 19 contested catches last year at Arkansas. You can find soft spots in the zone. He had 300 combined yards against Tennessee and Trey Amos from Ole Miss, so he can play against good competition, knows how to play. Not the greatest separator, not going to give you much after the catch, but overall good player, day 3 draft pick. He'll fight for that kind of last roster spot. And if you get Kyle Williams, and that kind of puts Cowing in an uncomfortable position. I can see them wanting a bigger-bodied 6'4 receiver because Jawan Jennings could be gone, Ayuk could be gone. You never know what the future may hold. So you can go Andrew Armstrong there. I wouldn't say no to that at all. You can go Jalen Travis here, albeit not a great player. Run blocking grades are atrocious for a player like that. So really, I think if you're San Francisco and he's there and it's that late, you go Andrew Armstrong, round out your draft. Let's see what PFF graded us. I'm sure it'll be bad because it always is. They're going to say we overdrafted CJ West. I won't complain there, but you got Walter Nolan, you got CJ West, Olafemi, Oladejo, great pick. We got Jeffrey Bassa, Kyle Williams. We got an F. We got an overall F grade for overdrafting Malachi Moore, but San Francisco never afraid to overdraft some players. But we went offense twice, and we went defense 8 different times. Got a B grade in the top 57 of the PFF mock draft simulator, which overall means nothing to me. But that said, do you like the draft? Do you hate the draft? Who would you have picked instead? Again, I'll read it off for you. At pick 11 in round number 1, we went Walter Nolan. Get you your tradesy, bigger, strong, interior defensive tackle you hope you can build around for the years to come. In round 2, pick 43, went in the run-stuffing, space-eating defensive tackle, CJ West. They called it an overdraft. I would say you're crazy. In round 3, we got San Francisco's draft crush off the edge, Olafemi Oladejo. In round 3 as well, pick 100, got Jeffrey Bassa, their draft crush at the linebacker position. In round 4, pick 113, we got Kyle Williams, who is currently the second best graded pick of our draft class thus far. He is Jaden Reed 2.0, a player like that. We've got another run-stuffing, bigger-body defensive tackle in Cameron Jackson out of Florida. Got Malachi Moore, maybe a reach, maybe an overdraft, but don't hate it for my own liking. Jaw Joyner, another edge rusher, longer guy, has some traits to him. He's a strong player. He's got some bend to him. You want that as kind of your 4th edge rusher. I think day 1, you put in Oladejo, you put in Jaw Joyner, and you're pushing players like Robert Beal Jr. down the board, even better for San Francisco. Go get your cornerback and Zaw Frazier, underrated player. He'll be long gone by then, but if he's there, got to take him. You go Jalen Walker and Andrew Armstrong, round things out. 7th round picks that can hopefully fight for a roster spot, maybe a stash player in year 1 for you. But how do you like the draft? It may not be quote-unquote perfect, but it's a darn good draft for us out there in San Francisco. If there was something I would change, maybe you get a tackle. Maybe you go and get, Jackson Slater on the interior. But man. I think it's a great draft. I hope San Francisco can find something like this in next week's NFL draft. I'm going to be locked in, but I want to let you know we have some fun things coming your way very, very soon. This week, going to do the most random mock draft we can possibly do. We're going to see crazy things and see what the PFF mock draft simulator can throw our way. How can we adjust? How can we find a great draft class when the world goes nuts around us, which it may already be. Who knows? But don't forget to like, share, subscribe, share your picks down below. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I'll see you very, very soon. And as always, my name is Sterling Bennett. You can follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. Use that promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com. You can save yourself $20 off your first purchase and get yourself a case of goat fuel down below and save yourself 10% off the case. It's delicious. It's great. And look, it's an awesome drink to get. I love it so much. Papa J says, go out and thrive with goat fuel, not made from real goats. Very, very true. Josh says here, great draft, sir. You just subbed. Hope you have a great dinner. Peace and love to you as well. Spy Nick Danger rounds things out and says, great draft, Sterling. I hope the Niners draft this well. Well, I'll tell you what, you call John Lynch, tell him, hey, Sterling knows what he's talking about, and we will make the San Francisco 49ers competitive once again in 2025. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave that review, and until next time, as always, stay faithful.